The world ended on a Tuesday. At least that's what Kim would remember later when people asked him about the day everything changed. He was just another face in the crowd, a logistics worker buried deep in the maze-like corridors of a massive distribution center. His job was simple: move boxes, scan barcodes, and pretend the mind-numbing routine didn't slowly kill his soul piece by piece. But then the screaming started. Kim had been in the far corner of Warehouse Section C when chaos erupted. The emergency alarms weren't the familiar fire drill sounds he knew by heart. These were different, sharp, urgent, terrifying. Through the reinforced windows, he caught glimpses of something impossible. People weren't just running, they were transforming. Ordinary humans were becoming grotesque, oversized monsters with bulging muscles and blood-red eyes. The automated security system kicked in, sealing every exit. Kim found himself trapped inside what had become either the safest place in the world or his tomb. The logistics center was built like a fortress, designed to protect millions of dollars worth of inventory. Now it would determine whether he lived or died. That's when PAX found him. PAX was one of the newer additions to the facility. An artificial intelligence housed in a sleek robotic frame designed for inventory management. Most workers ignored the machine, but Kim had always been oddly fascinated by its precise movements and calculated responses. "Employee Kim Chen," PAX announced in its characteristically neutral tone, rolling up beside him on silent wheels. "Facility lockdown protocols are active. External threat level, maximum. Survival probability calculations suggest remaining in secure zones." Kim stared at the robot, his mind struggling to process everything happening around him. "What's going on out there? What are those things?" "Preliminary analysis indicates rapid biological mutation in human subjects. Cause unknown. Recommend immediate resource assessment for extended isolation period." As if responding to some invisible signal, Kim felt something shift inside his consciousness. It started as a tingling sensation, like electricity dancing under his skin. Then came the voice. Not spoken aloud, but echoing directly in his thoughts. "System integration complete. Subspace storage ability activated. Welcome to the Awakened." Kim blinked, certain he was losing his mind. "Did you hear that?" Pax's optical sensors focused on him with newfound interest. "Detecting unusual energy signatures from your position. Are you experiencing anomalous phenomena?" Before Kim could answer, he felt an overwhelming urge to reach out toward a nearby crate. Without thinking, he extended his hand, and something extraordinary happened. The entire container simply vanished, not destroyed or moved, but absorbed into what felt like an invisible pocket of space connected to his will. "Fascinating," Pax observed. "You appear to have developed spatial manipulation capabilities." Over the next several hours, Kim experimented with his newfound ability, while Pax provided analytical support. He discovered he could store objects of various sizes, retrieving them instantly with mere thoughts. The space seemed limitless, and items remained perfectly preserved regardless of time passed. But the real shock came when Kim accidentally triggered something much larger. He had been practicing with smaller items when his concentration slipped, and his ability suddenly expanded beyond his control. In an instant, he felt the entire logistics center. Every warehouse, every piece of equipment, every single inventory item flow into his subspace storage. "This is impossible," he whispered, staring at the now empty concrete shell that had once housed millions of products. "Correction," Pax replied, somehow still functioning despite the building's contents disappearing. "This is highly improbable, yet evidently achievable. You now possess unlimited resource access." Their conversation was interrupted by thunderous impacts against the facility's exterior walls. Through the windows, Kim saw creatures that defied description, hulking beasts that seemed part human, part nightmare. The ogres, as he would later learn to call them, were testing the building's defenses. "We need to leave," Kim said, panic creeping into his voice. "Negative. External environment remains hostile. However, your new capabilities may provide alternative solutions." That's when Kim discovered his Ship It ability. By focusing on the concept of transportation and delivery, he could create temporary portals to move objects or people to safe locations. The skill felt natural, as if his years in logistics had somehow prepared him for this moment. Their escape came in the form of an unexpected ally. Yong-soo had been a delivery driver for the same company, trapped in his truck when the chaos began. Unlike Kim, his awakened ability was straightforward but invaluable. He could operate any vehicle with supernatural skill, turning ordinary transportation into precision instruments. "You're the warehouse guy," Yong-soo said when they finally met. "I saw you disappear half the building. That's either the most useful power ever, or the most dangerous." Kim looked at his new companions, PAX, with its analytical capabilities, and Yong-soo with his driving expertise. Together with his unlimited supplies and portal abilities, they had the foundation for something unprecedented. The apocalypse had begun, but Kim was no longer just surviving. He was building something new. When Kim stepped into those dark underground tunnels, he had no idea this rescue mission would change everything. What started as a simple quest to save one family would spiral into the most epic alliance-building adventure you could imagine. The tunnels beneath the city were a nightmare maze. Collapsed sections blocked every turn, debris scattered everywhere, and the constant threat of cave-ins made each step dangerous. But Kim wasn't backing down. Yong-soo, the driver who'd helped him earlier, had family trapped down here, and Kim had made a promise. The rescue itself was more challenging than expected. When they finally reached Yong-soo's wife Yoo-jung and their young daughter, both were severely injured from the tunnel collapse. This is where Kim discovered something incredible about his subspace ability. The pocket dimension he could access didn't just store items, it had healing properties. When he brought the injured family members into his subspace, their wounds began closing at an accelerated rate. The daughter's broken arm mended within hours, and Yoo-jung's internal injuries started healing immediately. This discovery was game-changing. Kim realized his subspace wasn't just storage, it was a mobile healing sanctuary. But there was no time to fully explore this revelation because urgent reports were coming in from the city hospital. The hospital had become a war zone. Something was controlling the medical staff, turning them into mindless puppets. Patients were being used as human shields, and the entire building had become a fortress of horror. When Kim arrived, he found chaos everywhere, except for one section where a lone figure was fighting back. That figure was Juyeon, Kim's eldest sister, and she was magnificent in action. As a nurse, she'd always been the caring one in the family, but seeing her now was like watching a completely different person. Her hands glowed with healing energy as she moved through the hospital, curing the controlled staff and freeing patients from whatever dark influence held them. Juyeon's ability was remarkable. She could heal multiple people simultaneously, create protective barriers of healing light, and even purify poison from a distance. When she saw Kim, the relief in her eyes was overwhelming, but there was no time for emotional reunions. They had a hospital to save. The source of the control was a massive figure on the top floor, Song Hong-gu, known locally as the big guy. This wasn't his fault, though. Some kind of poison or corruption had taken over his mind, turning his incredible strength against innocent people. The battle was intense. Song Hong-gu could punch through concrete walls, and his poisoned state made him feel no pain. But Kim and Juyeon worked perfectly together. While Kim used his combat skills and newly understood subspace healing, Juyeon provided support and purification. When they finally broke the poison's hold on Song Hong-gu, the big man collapsed, confused but grateful. He immediately pledged his loyalty to Kim, becoming another powerful ally in their growing group. Their next lead came from Song Hong-gu himself. He'd heard rumors about someone matching their second sister, Seoul's description, fighting near the old arena district. When they arrived, they found exactly what they expected. Seoul in the middle of an epic battle. Seoul had always been the fighter of the family. Years of mixed martial arts training had made her formidable, but seeing her now was something else entirely. She was single-handedly battling what appeared to be an ancient skeleton knight, and she was winning. Her abilities had evolved beyond physical combat. She could create energy barriers, enhance her strikes with some kind of power, and move with supernatural speed. The skeleton knight she was fighting turned out to be significant. When Kim approached, something unexpected happened. Instead of continuing the battle, the skeleton knight suddenly knelt before him. This was no ordinary undead warrior. This was Lancelot, first knight of Camelot, and Kim had somehow triggered an ancient summoning system. The Knights of Camelot system was beyond anything Kim had imagined. It wasn't just about summoning one warrior. It was an entire legendary army waiting to serve. Lancelot explained that Kim had proven himself worthy through his actions, his loyalty to family, and his growing strength. But their celebration was short-lived. The skeleton knight's soul had been fighting was just the beginning. The real threat was the Skeleton King, an ancient ruler who'd been awakening throughout the city. This wasn't going to be an easy fight. The battle against the Skeleton King tested everything they'd learned. Kim coordinated the attack, while Juyan provided healing support, and Sol handled close combat. Song Hungu's raw power proved crucial for breaking through the Skeleton King's defenses, while Lancelot demonstrated why he was considered the greatest knight in history. When the dust settled, something incredible happened. Defeating the Skeleton King didn't just eliminate a threat, it granted Kim access to Camelot Fortress, a mystical stronghold that existed between dimensions. This fortress came with unlimited enhancement stones, resources that could permanently strengthen his entire team. Standing in that ancient fortress, surrounded by family and new allies, Kim realized this was just the beginning of something much larger than simple survival. The military's recognition of Kim's supernatural abilities marked a turning point in humanity's organized resistance against the dimensional threats. Following the successful defense operations in the previous weeks, Kim received an urgent summons to meet with the Joint Chiefs Commander at the newly established Supernatural Affairs Division headquarters. The meeting room buzzed with tension as Kim entered, still wearing combat gear from the latest skirmish. The Joint Chiefs Commander, a seasoned military strategist known for adapting quickly to unconventional warfare, stood before a wall of tactical displays showing dimensional breach points across the globe. The commander's weathered face bore the weight of humanity's uncertain future. "Your field performance has been exceptional," the commander began, extending an official document. "We're promoting you to colonel rank, effective immediately. Your unique abilities and leadership during the recent crisis operations have proven invaluable to our defense strategy." Kim accepted the promotion with mixed emotions. The colonel's insignia felt heavy, representing not just personal achievement, but the enormous responsibility of protecting humanity against threats beyond conventional military understanding. The commander continued briefing Kim on intelligence reports, suggesting organized resistance within dimensional being communities. "We've identified a concerning pattern," the commander explained, pointing to breach locations on the digital map. "Some registered dimensional beings are actively working against our joint defense initiatives. There's evidence of a coordinated rebellion forming, led by someone calling themselves High Priest Bongsu." The name sent an uncomfortable chill through Kim. High Priest Bongsu had initially appeared as a cooperative dimensional being, claiming to support peaceful coexistence between humans and supernatural entities. However, recent intelligence suggested his true agenda involved something far more sinister. Within hours, Kim and Lancelot's Night Squadron received deployment orders to investigate unusual activity at a supposed dimensional being registration center. The facility, located in an abandoned industrial complex, should have been processing peaceful immigrants from other dimensions. Instead, they discovered something horrifying. High Priest Bong Su stood in the center of a ritual circle, surrounded by dimensional beings undergoing grotesque transformations. His betrayal became immediately apparent as he revealed his true plan: converting willing dimensional beings into monstrous goblin-like creatures through some form of corrupted magic or advanced biotechnology. "You humans never understood," Bong Su snarled as his own body began shifting and expanding. "Registration was never about coexistence. It was about cataloging resources for our eventual conquest." The transformation was nauseating to witness. Bong Su's humanoid form twisted into something resembling a massive goblin, his skin taking on a sickly green hue while his limbs elongated unnaturally. The poison he had been secretly administering to other dimensional beings through the registration process became apparent as dozens of similar transformations occurred simultaneously. Combat erupted immediately. Lancelot's knights engaged the transformed creatures, while Kim focused on confronting Bong-su directly. The High Priest's new goblin form possessed incredible strength and apparent immunity to conventional weapons. His claws secreted the same poisonous substance he had used to corrupt other dimensional beings. The battle tested every skill Kim had developed since gaining supernatural abilities. Bong-su's transformation had enhanced his speed and ferocity, making him a formidable opponent even for someone with Kim's enhanced capabilities. The fight raged throughout the facility as other knights struggled to contain the goblin creatures. During the confrontation, Kim discovered disturbing documents revealing the full scope of the registration system's corruption. What had appeared to be a legitimate program for tracking dimensional immigrants was actually a recruitment and transformation operation. Bong-su had been identifying dimensional beings with specific genetic markers suitable for his goblin conversion process. After an exhausting battle, Kim finally managed to defeat the transformed High Priest, though the victory came at significant cost. Several knights suffered serious injuries from the poisonous attacks, and the facility's destruction eliminated valuable intelligence about other potential rebel cells. Following the successful operation, Kim received permission to visit family members who had been relocated to a secure zone. The reunion took place at Kim's father's hardware store, which had been converted into an impromptu community defense center. Kim's father had discovered his own dimensional abilities during recent weeks. Supernatural architectural and construction skills that allowed him to design and build defensive structures with remarkable efficiency. The hardware store now served as both family business and fortress, with walls reinforced through his enhanced understanding of structural engineering. The family gathering provided emotional relief after weeks of constant combat operations. Kim's brother and sister-in-law were present, sharing news that added new urgency to the defense mission. The sister-in-law was expecting their first child, and her unique water creation ability had proven valuable for supporting community survival needs. Her pregnancy represented hope for humanity's future, while simultaneously raising the stakes of the ongoing conflict. Protecting Earth meant preserving the possibility for normal family life and the next generation's safety. The evening concluded with strategic planning sessions as Kim's father began designing enhanced defensive installations using his architectural abilities, while the family discussed the growing dimensional threat and humanity's evolving response capabilities. The dimensional auction was unlike anything humanity had ever witnessed. Earth received a CCC grade evaluation, which meant our planet qualified for the bidding competition that would determine our future. The rules were straightforward, but brutal. Each participating nation could field a 100-member team, and success meant securing territorial rights in conquered dimensions. Kim stood before her carefully assembled squad, knowing the weight of responsibility on her shoulders as Korea's regional representative. Her team wasn't just any random collection of fighters. Seoul, nicknamed the Fighter Sister, brought devastating offensive capabilities that could tear through enemy formations. Juyeon, known as the Nurse Sister, provided essential healing support while maintaining protective barriers that kept the team alive during intense battles. Father, their defensive construction specialist, possessed architectural abilities that could reshape battlefields to their advantage. The helicopter blades whirred overhead as Yong-soo prepared for another transport mission. His piloting skills had become crucial for rapid deployment and tactical repositioning during their dimensional campaigns. Lancelot commanded the combat operations with strategic precision, while Bedivere, despite losing an arm in previous battles, remained their most lethal long-range specialist. The one-armed Archer Knight's genius-level tactical thinking compensated for any physical limitations. Their primary opposition came from the Emeth Dimension's Holy Knights, warriors blessed with sacred weapons that could channel divine energy. These enemies weren't ordinary soldiers. Their blessed armaments could pierce conventional armor, and their coordinated assault patterns had defeated numerous other dimensional invading forces. Traditional military tactics proved insufficient against opponents who combined supernatural abilities with disciplined combat training. Kim's team developed innovative countermeasures that caught their enemies completely off guard. They modified standard rifles with dimensional energy converters, allowing conventional firearms to damage blessed armor. The engineering breakthrough came when Father realized that dimensional barriers responded differently to kinetic energy versus magical attacks. This discovery led to ammunition modifications that bypassed holy protections entirely. Fresh air shipping became another unexpected tactical advantage. The Emeth Dimension's atmosphere contained trace amounts of holy essence that enhanced their knight's abilities while gradually weakening human invaders. Kim's logistics team established supply lines that delivered sealed air canisters from Earth, maintaining their fighters' peak performance during extended engagements. This seemingly simple innovation proved decisive in battles where endurance determined victory. Perhaps their most audacious strategy involved construction material bombardment. Father's architectural abilities allowed him to manipulate building materials with supernatural precision. Rather than constructing defensive positions, he weaponized concrete blocks, steel beams, and even dimensional stone fragments as projectile weapons. The Holy Knight's blessed shields deflected energy attacks and conventional projectiles, but they couldn't adapt quickly enough to high-velocity construction debris raining from above. The gate core represented their ultimate objective, a crystalline structure that maintained the dimensional portal and granted establishment rights to whoever destroyed it. Reaching the core required fighting through multiple defensive layers, while Emeth reinforcements continuously arrived through secondary portals. Sol's offensive capabilities proved essential for breaking through the outer defenses, while Juin's barriers protected the team from the core's energy feedback during the final assault. Betavir's precision archery eliminated key supporting structures around the gate core, weakening its defensive matrix. His tactical genius identified vulnerable points that others missed, allowing concentrated attacks to achieve maximum damage. The one-armed archer's arrows, enhanced with dimensional energy, struck with surgical accuracy that dismantled the Holy Knight's protective formations. When the gate core finally shattered, the dimensional space began collapsing in controlled segments. Father's architectural abilities became crucial for creating stable evacuation routes, while the team secured their territorial claim. The establishment rights granted Korea significant advantages in future dimensional competitions, including resource extraction privileges and strategic positioning for subsequent invasions. Korea's success story wasn't universal across the globe. While Kim's team secured 4 out of 5 contested regions, other nations faced catastrophic defeats. Global losses were severe, with entire teams disappearing into hostile dimensions or falling victim to enemies they couldn't overcome. The bidding competition revealed humanity's uneven preparedness for dimensional warfare, highlighting both innovative strategies and tragic miscalculations. Victory celebrations were short-lived as new threats emerged. Lizardmen forces from the Savros dimension launched targeted attacks against dimensional representatives, identifying Sol as a priority target. These reptilian warriors possessed different capabilities than the Holy Knights, employing venom-based weapons and pack-hunting strategies that challenged established defensive protocols. The Lizardman invasion marked a new phase in dimensional conflict. Rather than competing for territorial rights, these enemies sought to eliminate successful human representatives entirely. Sol's offensive reputation made her a specific target, forcing Kim's team to adapt from conquest operations to survival tactics against an enemy that understood their capabilities and weaknesses. The war against the Lizardmen reaches its climax as Kim faces the most challenging battle of his career. Standing at Gang Bridge, he surveys the defensive positions his team has carefully constructed, using materials from both his father's construction company and the legendary Camelot. This isn't just another skirmish. This is the fight that will determine whether Korea falls or stands against the reptilian invasion. Kim's strategy centers on defending multiple fronts simultaneously, a task that would overwhelm most commanders. However, his diverse team of knights and allies brings unique capabilities to the battlefield. Sol, the fighter sister, takes her position on the front line, her combat prowess unmatched in close-quarters fighting. Her ability to hold ground against overwhelming odds makes her invaluable in this multi-directional assault. Meanwhile, Morid operates in the shadows, his assassin knight training perfect for gathering crucial intelligence about enemy movements. His stealth capabilities allow him to infiltrate lizardmen positions and relay critical information back to Kim's command center. This intelligence proves vital as they face not just ordinary lizardmen soldiers, but their most dangerous commanders yet. General Ayatu and General Rakus represent the elite leadership of the lizardmen forces. These aren't mindless beasts. They're tactical masterminds with centuries of combat experience. Their coordinated assault threatens to overwhelm even Kim's well-prepared defenses. The two generals command vast armies and possess supernatural abilities that make them formidable opponents. Kim's response involves deploying his Holy Spear duplication strategy, a technique he's refined throughout previous battles. By creating multiple blessed weapons, he can arm his forces with equipment capable of piercing lizardmen defenses. The strategy requires precise timing and coordination, but when executed properly, it turns the tide against seemingly impossible odds. Percival, the giant knight, becomes instrumental in breaking through enemy-heavy assault formations. His massive frame and devastating attacks carve through lizardmen ranks like a living siege engine. Where Soul holds the line with precision, Percival advances with overwhelming force, creating openings for the rest of the team to exploit. The battle reaches its most dramatic moment when Lancelot makes the ultimate sacrifice. Recognizing that victory requires someone to hold an impossible position against overwhelming numbers, he volunteers for what appears to be a suicide mission. His noble sacrifice allows the team to maintain their defensive positions long enough to implement their ultimate strategy against the lizardmen generals. However, death isn't the end for Lancelot. Using enhancement stones discovered during their previous adventures, the team manages to revive their fallen comrade. This resurrection isn't just a miracle, it's a testament to the bonds forged between these warriors and the mystical forces they've learned to harness. The final confrontation involves the giant snake leader, a massive serpent creature that serves as the ultimate guardian of the lizardmen invasion force. This beast carries within it the dimensional gate core that enables the continued invasion of Earth. Defeating it requires everything Kim's team has learned, combining their individual strengths into a coordinated assault. When the giant snake finally falls, Kim's forces successfully reclaim all of Korea. The victory represents more than territorial recovery. It's proof that Earth's defenders can push back against supernatural invasions. However, celebration is short-lived as reports arrive of a new crisis developing in China. Beijing faces an unprecedented disaster as toxic gas clouds envelope the city. These aren't natural weather phenomena, but interdimensional pollution from the Beelzebul dimension. Giant insects, unlike anything seen before, emerge from dimensional tiers throughout Chinese territory. The creatures spread rapidly, threatening to overwhelm the region's defenses. Kim realizes that saving Korea was only the beginning. The interdimensional invasion has shifted to a new phase, one that threatens to transform Earth itself through terraforming. The toxic atmosphere and giant insects represent an attempt to remake the planet's environment to suit alien invaders. Responding to this escalating threat requires assembling an international coalition. James, an American aircraft engineer and mechanic, brings crucial technical expertise for dealing with flying threats and maintaining advanced equipment in hostile environments. His engineering skills become essential for adapting Earth technology to combat interdimensional enemies. Yang, a Chinese sect leader and accomplished martial artist, provides local knowledge and spiritual combat techniques. His understanding of traditional Chinese martial arts offers unique approaches to fighting enemies that conventional weapons cannot easily defeat. Accompanying him is Luan, his devoted disciple, who adds youthful energy and fresh perspectives to their ancient fighting traditions. Minu, Kim's childhood friend, with exceptional swordsman abilities, rejoins the team as the scale of the threat becomes apparent. Their shared history provides an emotional anchor amid the chaos of interdimensional warfare. Perhaps most crucially, Kim's sister-in-law reveals her alchemical abilities, specifically her talent for creating specialized chemical solutions. Her bug spray formulations prove surprisingly effective against the giant insects plaguing China, offering hope for a practical solution to the biological aspects of the invasion. As the team prepares for their most challenging mission yet, They understand that failure means more than losing territory. It means losing Earth itself to alien terraforming efforts that will remake the planet beyond recognition.